Hi folks, this is Lance from RunTime Recruitment. Today's topic is media servers. I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about my experiences with open source media servers. As you know, in this day and age, most people are moving away from their own personal collection of media content. That's movies, TV shows, and music, because nowadays that's so readily available and pretty much at zero cost. Services like Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Music, Google Music, and so on, Amazon Prime. All of these particular, SaaS services are providing you with a huge amount of selection, almost at zero price. So it's a very enticing option over trying to keep your own content. I also have moved on to media streaming services as well, like Spotify and SoundCloud for my music, Apple TV, and so on. However, there are times when perhaps you do want to keep your own collection. So what options do you have? Now, there's a lot of companies out there, hardware companies that make. Sonos comes to mind for music, and I'm sure there's lots of other companies that provide these services. But these devices are really for audiophiles, people who are really connoisseurs of music. But for your average Joe blogs, perhaps you don't need that level of sophistication. Perhaps you just need to have some content stored locally and you have the ability to stream that. There are some amazing open source projects out there that provide media services very cheaply. And two particular ones come to mind. For me, if you are going to be interacting with some software, from my perspective, I'd really seek out software that has a nice interface, has been well engineered, is robust. These are some of the criteria that I use to assess anything pretty much in life, but also it's software that you're going to be using, particularly something like a media server, which perhaps is going to be running all the time, and so you want it to be robust. A lot of these open source bits of software, media servers, are actually built on top of Linux distribution, so they're pretty rock solid and reliable. I've settled on a server called Plex, and I've been running this on my Mac OS, Mac Mini. My Mac Mini is my entertainment center, and it powers pretty much all of my devices. It delivers content across many devices, and it does a fantastic job. And I have a small collection of movies and TV shows and a little bit of music that I do actually have local. So Plex has been fantastic, and I really enjoyed it. It's got a great interface. I can actually access my content, and it's very good. Look, it's basically got some of my content already indexed. It's got really good navigation on the left-hand side. It's got music, movies, playlists, etc., settings, web shows. It's fantastic. It really is a great piece of software, and it's free primarily. You have to pay for some premium services or premium functionality that it has in here. It's primarily a fantastic piece of kit, and it runs local. So yeah, it's fantastic. I love it. The only time when you have to pay for it is if you want to run your content, if you want to look at your content on a mobile device like a smartphone, then you'd have to buy an app. And for Plex, it's very cheap. It's a one-off purchase. I think it's around, I'm not sure, about $10 or something. It's very, very cheap, and that will allow you to get indefinite access to your personal content. I was just Googling around, and I came across something else, and another fantastic media center, open source again, called Emby. Emby is actually very similar to Plex, but it has a few little features which I'm very impressed with and very much like. One of the features is it's completely local. You don't need an internet connection. My media mixed content, which is video primarily, is shows and movies here, and my music here. And you can set up playlists, and you can add more content and segregate that content depending on what type of content it is. You can search for content very easily. You can type in what you want, and it will show you based on the word, if it appears in the title of the content, and then it will access the music, etc. You can see all of that, and the people, and so on. So it's very fast, as you saw there, very quick. One of the things I like about Emby over Plex is the speed. The speed is much faster. I don't know why, but it just is a lot faster. It actually accesses content a lot faster. It will actually render that content a lot faster to your device as well. And that's one of its key attributes that I think are a little bit ahead of Plex. Plex is fantastic, don't get me wrong, and it's been around a lot longer than Emby, but I think Plex probably has a lot more functionality and a lot more perhaps complexity in the software, which perhaps slows it down a little bit, where Emby is really lean and mean, and response is fantastic. Now, what I also like about Emby, and you can see also this thing as well that comes up very similar to what Plex has. So you got Plex on this side, and it comes up like this. You know, we can access all the other functionality of the app, and then Emby also has this, and you can make it go away if you want. It actually allows you to manage the server from within this. So let's go to the manage server, and in here it actually gives you the status of the server, what port it's on, what IP address it's on, and you can specify users on here. If you want to actually add a user, you can add a user very, very easily. And you can specify where the library is, so you can add more media content as you want, and the type of media that you want to add here. As you can see, different types. You can have audio books, TV shows, games, you know, whatever you want primarily. So that's really, really, really easy. One of the things which I really like about Emby over Plex is the encoding. It really does a fantastic job of encoding the content on the fly, but you can specify, you know, depending on your connection to the server local to you, depending on if it's over a 10 megabit connection or a 100 megabit connection or a gigabit connection or a 10 gigabit connection, whatever it is, you can specify what the encoding is going to be like and what you want. I've just set to auto because it will figure it out by itself. But you can actually specify that to actually improve the rendering time. So if we were to say very fast or ultra fast, we could just do that and then save the content. And what that will do is that will actually make sure that the content is delivered very quickly to reduce any kind of lag or any kind of drop frames that you might experience when you're viewing the content. The other feature which I really like, which I haven't seen in Plex, maybe it's there but maybe I haven't been able to find it, is this cinema mode, which I really found amazing, because really at the end of the day it's a server. And you're not going to really be interested in looking at all the bells and whistles of a server. What you're really interested in is how well does the server serve the content, i.e. drop frames, and how does it render the content? How does it render the content in the sense, does it display the content in a really high quality way? Obviously it's going to depend on the file size that you have for a particular movie that you have, but I'm assuming that you've got a relatively large file size, like 2 or 3 gigabytes. You need a player that's going to play that content really, really well, or serve that content at the highest level. And that's what this thing does. It actually has this cinema mode, which really enriches the content. It pops the colors, it pops the contrast, and really gives you a really nice, clean image, which is really enjoyable to watch. So I really like that, and the speed of it as well is pretty amazing. It also offers you this facility where if you go and sign up for the Open Subtitles, which is a free service basically, and it allows you to then download subtitles automatically. Once you actually add new content to your directory, it will go and index and scan that content and will automatically download the subtitles and add those to that particular content. So when you're watching it, you have the option to have the subtitles as well while you're viewing it, which is really fantastic. Instead of having to download, in the old days, I would actually have to download the subtitles, add them to the directory, and run something like VLC viewer and tell the VLC viewer where the subtitles were, and then it would add them to the movie, which is a really long and laborious way of doing things. But this is automatic, which is fantastic. This is just telling you where your content's being recently viewed, and you can see it being viewed on my Apple TV and my browser and even my iPhone. It also allows you the option to upload your photographs from your phone if you want, from your mobile device. I haven't set this up, I don't really use it at the moment, but that is really quite good if you have a smartphone where you don't have a lot of local storage and you want to basically clear it out so you can take more pictures and more videos. So you can actually upload all of that straight away when you come in, and it will automatically sync from that. You can tell it where the path is for the camera as well. Select a custom upload path, basically where you want that content to be stored, because it has to be stored somewhere on your server. There is a couple of other features like live TV. I don't really use this though. There are these services that you can actually have, which allow you to, take TV source content and have this within this application. Same applies to DVR. There's a DVR functionality which is built in, but I think this is actually a premium subscription, so you got to pay for this. This is an additional functionality, which makes your server really act like a DVR and allows you to schedule programming and be able to download content and be able to play it at certain times. And of course we have the advanced feature expert level, which allows you to change things which are particular to the server, things like ports where the server would be accessed and so on, and also to allow it to have remote access. So if you click this, you can actually have you can access the server remotely over the internet if you punch a few holes in your router and allow, basically using port mapping, you can actually pump through that firewall and be able to access the server and be able to play your content on your server on your remote device if you're abroad or something, or if you're out of the country, or if you're somewhere and you're bored and you want to basically consume some content, you can do that using this. Very powerful. There's some logs here which if you're not really important for most people, but it does have that if you want it for debugging purposes. Notifications as well, if you want notifications of certain events which are happening in the server, things like schedule task failure, restarts, etc., plug failure, all of those sorts of things. These are self-explanatory really, but they're there if you want to play around with it. It has quite a big library of plugins as well, and you can see I've loaded some of them. If you push catalog, it will actually go to the internet and it will actually show you these which are available for the server. And you can see this is for Windows, this is just for your general server. And these are basically plugins that make the server perform in a different way, or it actually allows you to pull content from external sources. I haven't really played around with this a lot, but I probably will do in the future. I've just recently installed this and I'm playing around with it. I'm very impressed with it. I thought I'd share my experiences with anybody, just in case other people are looking for something similar and perhaps could take benefit from my experience. There you go, Port Mapper. Schedule tasks. Now this is something that you can also use. One of the things that happens is, because it's a Linux distribution, it probably has some cron jobs running in the background, which can basically be scheduled to do different things within the server, things like scanning your library, thumbnail extraction from the internet and so on. So these things can be changed if you want. So this is also for syncing content again and for converting media. So this says it runs every 2 hours, it says it runs every 2 hours, this runs every 5 hours, and you can change that if you wanted to within the server. This is the Metadata Manager. This is basically metadata for all your content which is used within the server, and also useful for when you're searching content, or when you're searching, if you click this button for searching, that's kind of you're accessing the metadata which is stored there. So that's one of the other things I want to share with you is that even though Emby offers you the option to view your content on your Apple TV or other devices like that, if you want to view it on your mobile device, there is an app that you got to download and you can install that, but you got to pay for it. But I found a little workaround for that, and that workaround is that you can actually view that content if you wanted to by just going to the server, putting in the IP address and the port number and accessing the server. You can set up users on it and they can just log in, and then you can view your content within your browser. Because it's HTML5 compatible, you can view your content within the browser. So that's a little workaround. So really it's basically 100% free. It's a free basically service, and I love it. I think it's fantastic, and I'm going to be using it probably more than Plex. I'm probably going to switch from Plex to Emby. So hopefully that was useful to you guys. Enjoy, and And if you're an engineer, because we specialize in placing engineers, embedded engineers and software engineers, if you're an embedded engineer or a software engineer that's embedded firmware or hardware design or engineering, and if you're a software engineer writing any kind of software, primarily C and C++, that's primarily our focus, but reach out to me, reach out to my team, get us on LinkedIn, send us an email, check out our website, which is runtimerec.com. If you're an engineering manager and you're looking to hire engineers, embedded engineers or software engineers, perhaps you want to look us up, give us a shout, and maybe we can help you out. So have yourself a fantastic day and enjoy.